Jackie Dean.
Mr Speaker, it's always very good to follow the Honourable Phil Goff in a debate because it just makes me look so reasonable in comparison. Goodness knows if Phil Goff became the Mayor of Greater Auckland, that would solve the housing crisis, right? Because everybody would just up sticks and leave. Representation like that is something that Auckland does not need. Mr Speaker, an extraordinary thing happened in this House at question time today, around about question 3, I believe it was, and Leader of the Opposition, Andrew Little.
Order.
Speaking of chicken, Andrew Little got up to ask a question and got perhaps outmanoeuvred by the government. What did he do? What did he do? Did he get up and fight the fight on behalf of the opposition? Did the Leader of the Opposition get up during his showcase moment in this House, question time, the time for the Leader of the Opposition to show his people, his caucus, the kind of man he is? Well, he did, actually. At the beginning of question 3 today, Andrew Little didn't get up. Andrew Little sat down, put his hands up and said, "Oh, OK, I won't answer the question." And what was happening? What was happening behind him, in the seats behind him, when the Leader of the Opposition sat down and said, "OK, I give up, I didn't want to ask the question anyway." What happened? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing happened. There was no smile, there was no noise, perhaps just the sound of knives being sharpened quietly behind his back. In fact, it reminded me of another moment we had in the House relatively recently. Does this bring back any memories? The snapper debate? Well, that worked well, didn't it, David Shearer? So today showed exactly just why it is so good to be a member of the National Party in this third term of the John Key-led National Government. Because I tell you why, Mr Speaker, this is a government that follows through. This is a government that is not afraid of the hard moments. This is a government that does what it says it will do. Let me think. Oh yes, I know. The flag referendum. Yeah, tell us about that. What did we do? What did National do? Well, it was our policy coming into the last election to have a flag referendum and see what New Zealanders thought about changing the flag. And so after the election, we set up the process for flag referendums for changing the flag. And here we are, we've been through the legislation, and now it's New Zealanders' turn to have their say. What did Labor do? How did they go into the election? What was their policy on the flag referendums? Well, funnily enough, it was Labor's policy to have a flag referendum because they thought the time was now for New Zealanders to have their say. They campaigned on it, and then what did they do? They sat down in their seats, they put up their hands and they said, oh no, don't want to anymore, and that is Labor all over, and that is why New Zealand doesn't support Labor, and that is exactly why New Zealanders support this national government. Mr Speaker, I want to focus particularly, and it should come as no surprise, that I want to focus on the regions because I am a strong supporter of New Zealand, particularly South Island, regional New Zealand, and I want to talk about the investment that this government is putting into the regions. And it is so ironic that people like the Honourable Annette King stands up in the House and other places and said, New Zealand is out of touch with the regions. Well, I'd like to let Labor know that none of them actually represent the regions, so they don't tend to be very well connected with the regions at all, but they are tending to stand from their places in the cities and cast aspersions on us. Meanwhile, people like myself and Mark Mitchell and Barbara Kuriga and all our national colleagues arraigned across this side of the House are working hard for their regions every single day of the week. Let me think about a couple of things that are happening in particular which are important to me. The recent announcement by the Honourable Michael Woodhouse around immigration. What a great difference that is going to make for Central Otago in terms of filling those skills shortages which are so important to the wine growers, to the fruit growers, to the hospitality sector in my part of the country. It is that care of the regions, it is that leadership by John Key which is making this a government which gets things done.
Gareth Hughes.